Mark Thompson, a veteran wildlife ranger who had protected the Kalahari Desert border region for over a decade. But now his hands were bound in chains, shackled to trees on either side. He stood with his arms spread wide.
Help! Somebody help me!
He shouted until his voice was hoarse, but there was no answer. The desolate plain at the desert's edge. No one was there. Mark had been tracking poachers, only to be captured by them and left here to die. Then a dust cloud rose on the horizon. A massive herd of buffalo, driven mad by drought, was charging toward him like a black storm cloud. Even for this experienced ranger, this was a first. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The plain stretched endlessly in every direction. His hands were chained. Mark slowly closed his eyes. This is the end. But at that very moment, a thunderous roar tore through the world. Mark's eyes flew open in shock. With its golden mane flowing in the wind, a massive lion, 1.5 times larger than any normal male, stood before him, an overwhelming presence, a giant lion. The events from a month ago flooded back to Mark as if they had happened yesterday. The Kalahari Desert border region. Dawn was just breaking. Mark Thompson set out on his usual patrol. Then suddenly, from somewhere, he heard a low groaning sound, a sound of pain. Beyond a wire fence, a massive shadow was moving. A lion 1.5 times larger than a normal adult male. The legendary giant lion was caught in barbed wire, bleeding. The wire had dug deep into its shoulders and sides. Mark's mind wrestled between duty and conscience, solo operations, when rescuing wild animals were strictly prohibited. But at this early dawn hour, waiting for another ranger could mean the lion's death. Mark took a deep breath and carefully approached. The lion looked at Mark with eyes full of pain. It seemed too weak even to growl. Mark's hands trembled as he cut through the barbed wire. One strand at a time, 15 minutes passed. Finally, the last piece of wire was cut away. The emergency treatment was complete, but the lion clearly needed ongoing care. After some consideration, Mark injected a small tracking chip into the lion's side. The lion slowly rose to its feet. Its massive frame revealed itself in the morning light. For a long moment, the lion stared at Mark in silence, then staggered off into the grassland. Mark watched the lion's retreating figure with a mixture of fear and concern. 3 days passed. That level of injury required more than one treatment. Mark decided he would do this alone. That evening, after finishing his duties, Mark turned on his GPS and began tracking the lion. The signal indicated a location about 5 kilometers from the rescue site. After driving on dirt roads for about 5 minutes, he spotted a massive shadow beneath some rocks. It was the lion. As Mark approached, the lion suddenly rose to its feet. A sharp, growling sound filled the air. The massive lion stepped forward threateningly. A warning, "Stay back!" Mark immediately stopped. He slowly knelt down, placing his medical bag on the ground. He raised both hands slowly, a gesture showing he meant no harm. The lion continued to growl but didn't attack. Mark slowly opened his bag, took out antibiotics, antiseptic, and some meat, placed them on the ground, and backed away. At that moment, the lion took 2 steps forward. The lion's eyes met Mark's. A long silence fell. The lion stared at Mark for a long time, as if trying to remember, as if trying to judge. Then it slowly turned its head and sniffed at what Mark had left. Mark quietly backed away. From that day on, Mark visited the spot 2 or 3 times a week, always at dawn or late evening, without his colleagues knowing. At first, the lion remained wary, but as time passed, things began to change. The lion came closer and closer, allowing Mark's touch. One day, 2 female lions appeared beside the male, the lion's family. When the male gave a low call, the females relaxed their guard too. It was as if he was saying, "This human helped me." A month passed. A deep trust and bond had formed between Mark and the lion family. At the last visit, the wounds had almost completely healed. Mark applied antiseptic one final time and gently stroked the massive lion's mane. Mark started to stand, then paused for a moment. He looked at the lion and smiled quietly. After walking a few steps, Mark turned back. The lion was still watching him, with the female standing beside him. Mark waved once, then headed toward his vehicle. The lion slowly rose and walked deep into the grassland with the females. Mark sat in his vehicle for a long time, watching them disappear. His chest felt strangely hollow. And now a massive lion stood before Mark. A massive lion blocking the charging buffalo herd. Mark looked at the lion with disbelief. It was the very lion he had treated a month ago. The buffalo at the front charged without stopping. Crash! The lion and buffalo collided head-on. The buffalo's horn grazed the lion's shoulder. Blood sprayed, but the giant lion didn't back down. Its massive paw struck down like lightning, hitting the buffalo's neck. The buffalo staggered. It was impossible for a normal lion, but this lion was different. With its massive size came incomparable strength. The lion roared once more into the sky. At that moment, something astonishing happened. Mark turned his head to see 3 female lions appearing, forming a protective circle around him, the very family he had spent a month with. The entire lion family had come to protect Mark. Despite their thirst and hunger, the buffalo felt instinctive fear before the collective threat of the lion family, especially before this massive male lion. The buffalo could advance no further. After a brief standoff, the herd turned and fled. The ground shook once more and dust filled the sky. Then silence fell. The dust settled. The massive lion approached Mark. It looked at the chains binding his wrists, then opened its mouth. Crack! Crack! With 1.5 times the strength, the chains snapped. Mark's hands were free. "Thank you." Mark's voice shook, his eyes welling with tears. Mark's knees gave out. After being bound for so long, his legs had no strength, and his ankle had been injured during his capture. The massive lion lowered its body before Mark. A lioness let out a low growl and pointed at the lion's back with her head. Mark slowly climbed onto the lion's back. He wrapped his arms gently around the lion's body. Warmth radiated from it. The lion slowly rose, and the female lions followed on either side like escorts. The lion family and Mark began their slow journey toward the camp. The lion's warmth enveloped Mark's legs. The lion walked very slowly, carefully ensuring Mark's comfort. Mark's tension gradually melted away. Riding on a predator's back, yet he felt no fear. Instead, he felt safer than anywhere else in the world. The sunset painted the Kalahari landscape in crimson. An old memory suddenly surfaced. Being carried on his father's back as a child, falling asleep, it had been just as warm, just as safe. Mark's eyelids grew heavy. He gently rested his face against the lion's neck, and he fell into a deep sleep. The Kalahari night deepened, but the journey of one man and a lion family continued. A soft call from one of the female lions woke Mark. Mark slowly opened his eyes. The lights of the camp could be seen in the distance. They had arrived. Mark slowly climbed down from the lion's back. His ankle still hurt, but it was bearable. Mark cupped the massive lion's head in both hands. The lion stood still, watching Mark. Mark pressed his forehead against the lion's and closed his eyes. "I thought I was the one who saved you." Mark's voice trembled. "But the one who was saved was me." The lion gave a low, long call. A farewell. Mark slowly let go. The lion watched Mark for a long time. The female lions stood quietly beside him, also watching Mark. Then the lion slowly turned around. Mark stood there, watching them for a long time. Mark slowly raised his hand and waved. Then he limped toward the camp. Tears and a smile were both on his face. Mark thought to himself, sometimes the life we save ends up saving us. Friendship that transcends species. Trust that needs no words. Gratitude that time cannot erase. This was the truth that this vast land had taught him somewhere in the Kalahari Desert. If you found this story moving, please subscribe and like. We'll bring you more heartwarming stories. Thank you.